Thank you all so much for taking time on your Saturday morning to be here. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the invite. Come and speak about what we do at the county and a little bit about what I do. So I know many of you in the room, but I will just, for those who don't know me, I'll give you a little brief background. So next year, as a matter of fact, my family will have been here for 50 years. So not a native, but an old timer, and I'm old, so I can say that. We moved up here in the 70s. I went to high school, graduated from Nevada Union High School in 1980, and like all Grass Valley, Nevada City kids, we couldn't wait to get out. So I left for college and then lived in the Bay Area for a few years, kind of trying to figure out my way. And I decided that that lifestyle wasn't for me, and I wanted to come back to my hometown. So in 1989, I moved back to Grass Valley. My family did own Stuckey Jewelers at that time, and so had grown up in a family business. Decided that I wanted to open my own business, so I opened a women's clothing store, Mill Street Clothing Company. So some of you might know me from there. People see me all the time, and it's like, I know you, but I don't know where. And I'm always happy when they say from my store versus from a horrible decision that they disagreed with that I made as an elected official. So I opened my business in 1989, and I started getting involved with some of the city government. I saw downtown potentially taking a direction that I didn't really love. So I got involved with the Grass Valley Downtown Association and with the Chamber of Commerce, and then ultimately with the city of Grass Valley. So in 1995, I was appointed to the Grass Valley Planning Commission, and I served in that position for 9 years, which if anybody's interested in getting into any sort of elected government official, planning commissions are a great way to start because you learn a lot about the community in that process. So I ran for city council twice and did not win, but I persevered and I was elected on my third try. So I got elected to Grass Valley City Council in 2004. 2008 to 2010, I served as the mayor of Grass Valley. And then I finished my career at the city as mayor again from 2018 to 2020. Grass Valley mayors, they serve 2 years instead of one, which is more normal for small communities. So after I don't know, anybody know the guy who had this job before me, Dan Miller? So Dan was a friend. We had worked together for years in Grass Valley. He came from Grass Valley City Council. He was also elected school board member. And when he was running in 2018, I supported him because we were friends, and he was helpful with Grass Valley. And he told me, "Oh, it'd be great if you ran for supervisor when I'm done." He was only going to do one more term. So it kind of planted the seed. I had never thought I wanted to go up to the county. It's much bigger. It's much more bureaucratic. Cities and counties sometimes have very adversarial relationships, and so it's just a way different political animal. So, but it did plant the seed. As mayor, I was also mayor during COVID, which was very trying times for our community. Learned a lot, but had a lot of opportunity to work with the county folks because we tried to handle COVID from a multi-jurisdictional perspective versus just county versus the cities and the town of Truckee. So I started working more closely with Allison Lehman, who is the CEO, and with some of the supervisors that I was friendly with. Lo and behold, Dan Miller totally said, "Oh," after he got elected with my help, said, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to support you. It'll depend on who runs." So, and Dan is a Republican. He became much more conservative towards the end of his career in Nevada County. And so he found somebody else to run against me in 2022. So I ran in 2022. I missed being elected in the primary by like 1 percentage point because you got to get 50% plus one. And I had like 49.5 so I had to go to the general election. It was myself and somebody who's a pretty partisan Republican. And I won. I beat her by 38 points. Yeah. So, and just in contrast, In 2018, Dan Miller beat Hillary Hodge by 156 votes. I beat my opponent by almost 2,000 votes. So that just kind of shows you the difference in what a few years will make, I think. But the big issue when I was running, as Debbie mentioned, was the mine. And it wasn't just me who voted against it. That was actually a 5-0 vote after 2 very long days of public hearings, but after years of work from both the mining company and from the community. And I'm so pleased to say the community won on that issue. So y'all, anybody who worked against that should be very proud of themselves. They are suing us, so it's not over yet, but so far the courts have ruled in our favor on this one. So that's just a little background. Married, no kids. I have two mini poodles. So if you see me out walking with these really cute little dogs, please stop and say hi. I take one of them with me to really contentious meetings because he's so cute that it's hard to be mad and yell at me when I have this really cute little dog sitting on my lap. But for most intense, when people ask me what I do, I say I'm retired because I am retired from my professional career, and my husband is also retired now. And with the county, the role as county supervisor, even though it is a job and we do get paid for it, I get to set my own schedule. So it's not a Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. This past week, we were doing budget hearings. I pretty much had stuff all day, every day from 8:30 in the morning till probably a couple nights. I didn't get home till after 10. But then this coming week, I might have 6 meetings. So it's pretty flexible. But I want to give you a little bit of overview of the county. So anybody live in District 3 besides, I know Debbie does, Lily Marie? Okay. So, you live in District 2. If you tell me your address, I can tell you what supervisorial district is for the most part. And then I can also tell you one of the very confusing things for people. You have a Grass Valley address if you live in Alta Sierra or you live off of LeBar Meadows Road, but you do not live in Grass Valley. If you live in the city limits of Grass Valley, you know the difference because you have a 3-digit address. If you have a 5-digit address, you lived in the unincorporated area, meaning you are represented by county supervisor versus by city council. If you live in my district, you get both because 2/3 of my district is the city limits of Grass Valley. And so they have their council representatives, but then I represent them at anything having to do with county stuff. We have big cybersecurity. We have been hacked before. I mean, lots of local governments have. It's very expensive. So they do a lot of work with us to make sure that we're not doing the wrong thing. At one point, I had the highest level of open spam, bad emails of anybody at the county. So now they police me a lot more. So, who we are at the county, it's a group of professional people on a continuous journey to improve and make this county the best possible place it can be. Our mission at the county is to work with the community to develop sound and innovative public policy, provide strong leadership, and deliver excellent service in a fiscally responsible manner. Doesn't that sound great? That's the mission. So we are governed by a 5-member board. And we each represent approximately 20,000 people. So we go all the way from the, Placer County, Auburn border to Truckee, out to Lake Wildwood, all the way up to the little town of Washington, Graniteville, North San Juan. So Nevada County is big, 960 square miles. And in contrast, the city of Grass Valley is 5 square miles, and the city of Nevada City is 2 square miles. Truckee's bigger because they didn't become a town until 1995 or 6, and they were very smart when they incorporated everything so that the county didn't have jurisdiction over their land use planning. It's a very, very smart, it's a smart way to do it. So I'm the District 3 supervisor, as I said. I always say District 3 is the easiest district to be the supervisor from because it's the smallest geographically. So Hardy Bullock, who's the District 5 supervisor, he represents Truckee, so he's got a good hour drive down here. Most of his constituents are in the town of Truckee, but he also has the little town of Washington and some parts of upper Nevada City off of Highway 20. I think District 4 is the hardest district to be the supervisor for because it's Penn Valley. So you have Penn Valley, you have Lake Wildwood, and then you have North San Juan. And the diversity of your population and the things that my colleague Sue Hook deals with are so different than what I have to deal with in my district. Plus, in my district, the city of Grass Valley handles law enforcement, handles public works, and handles fire. So if someone calls and they have an issue in the city, I just send them over to the chief of police, who happens to be a good close friend of mine. And because of my relationship of coming from the city, I have a pretty good relationship with all the people, with the council people and the staff there. So, our responsibilities are, we're policymakers. We're not in there doing the actual work. We are creating policy and direction for our staff. So we approve contracts. We have public hearings on land use issues. We just are putting together a new cell phone tower ordinance. Somebody asked me a question about the new RV ordinance, and I'm going to give lots of time for people to ask questions, and I'm happy to answer questions on any of the issues that we're working with. We create offices, boards, and commissions. So we appoint our planning commissioners. As a function of our work on the board, many of us sit on other boards. So for example, the other work that I do besides being on the Board of Supervisors, I sit on the Area Foreign Aging Board, which is multi-jurisdictional. We meet once a month. They're responsible for distributing the older American dollars that come out of the federal government. Locally, some of the things that they fund here, Meals on Wheels, which is obviously a huge program in our community, falls prevention that the Hospital Foundation puts on, that's supported by that organization. So that's one of the groups that I sit on. I'm also on the Economic Resource Council Board, which is our local economic development. Also, it's a multi-jurisdictional, so Grass Valley, Nevada City, Truckee, and then some private businesses and other nonprofits that are there. But each of us usually sit on anywhere from 5 to 10 different committees as part of your work for the board. So it's not just going to the board meetings, but it's all these other meetings. And sometimes I'll start the week with 3 meetings on the books, and by the end of the week I'll have had 20 because things come up and you got to be available. So the board, every year we meet for 3 days in January, and we do a goal setting session, and we look at our priorities. And so we have currently 8 priorities, and I'm just going to give them to you really quick. And we added a new one this year. So climate resilience, economic development, emergency preparedness, homelessness, housing, recreation economy, and then the one that we added this year was arts and tourism, because that has become a really important component of our community. And there's probably no less than 50 arts organizations in Nevada County. So, so each one of these, all the work we do, it has to go into one of these components. And that's in addition to core services, which is the sheriff's department, the county coroner, the roads people who do emergency preparedness. And so our core services is the work that we are mandated to do by state law. We have to have an animal shelter. We have to provide evacuation information for people. The sheriff's department is the lead agency in Nevada County for any sort of emergency. We have a jail. I mean, those are the things that we are required to do by law. So, and I can talk some more if there's questions on any of these issues and what they mean. I'm happy to tell you. A lot of the work that we do also is done through what we call ad hoc committees. So the last few years, we've had a housing ad hoc committee working with both internally and then also with development in the private sector or the housing sector to have some opportunities. Homelessness, we're part of it's called the COC, the Continuum of Care, which is a multi-jurisdictional organization that money comes to from the feds in the state and gets distributed. So like in our community, Hospitality House, Sierra Roots, some of the agencies that help with homelessness. So, okay, this is the fun one for me. I kind of went over a little bit. 960 square miles. We're basically dissected by the Sierra Nevada mountain range. So we are Western County here, which is the majority, about 80,000. Eastern County, town of Truckee, and unincorporated Donner Summit is about 20,000. 28 98.5% of our residents are over the age of 65. Makes us one of the oldest communities per capita in the state of California. It's always been like that, at least as long as I've lived here. 92.7% of us are white. No surprise there. Our median household income is about $90,000 a year. Per capita income is about $75,000 per year. And 11.8% of our residents live in poverty, so below the poverty line. That is not something that we were proud of. Puts us kind of in the middle at the state level. We're certainly not the wealthiest community, but we're not the poorest community. That would be our neighbors to the north, Colusa County. Our annual budget is around $400 million. This year it's a little bit higher because we have a really large project that we're building. You might have seen this, or if you work in any of the mental health areas in the community. A couple of years ago when Prop 1 was passed, one of the tenets of having to institute that was communities opening mental health facilities. And we always thought, at least I did, that because we're so small, we would never have enough money to be able to build our own, and we would probably have to partner up with Placer County or Yuba Sutter County, which we do a lot. But lo and behold, through the amazing work of our behavioral health director at the time, we were awarded $23 million to build our own facility here. And what that means is that there's going to be a 20 beds facility for people who are experiencing mental health crisis, not a temporary facility. It's a place they can actually go and get treatment. Currently, when we have people who are needing that type of assistance, they have to go out of the community for it. This is such a win for us because we've been spending those dollars anyway out of the community. So we're going to circulate those dollars in the community now. But also, it's very difficult on families. If you have a family member who's in a facility and you have to drive 3 hours to see them, sometimes their recovery is better if their family is closer. So we really look at that as a win. They just broke ground on it last month. It's supposed to be completed sometime in 2027. So we're really proud of having our act together enough to build that facility. And it's on the campus of the Rood Center, so it's up in Nevada City, so it's fairly close in. We have 932 employees at the county, give or take. We go between 900 and 1,000. Most of our employees are permanent, but we also do have some temporary positions where they fill in, like during elections. We use temporary people to help with the elections office. We're in the process of putting a whole new a computer system or software. It's all the software that deals with all of our departments. They're in the process of instituting that. It's a 3-year, multi-million-dollar upgrade, and so they've hired temporary people to make sure that goes smoothly. And in the long run, that will save us money because we're going to be creating much more efficiency in some of our departments. So just in comparison for big and small, when Los Angeles, their budget's $50 billion. They have 117,000 employees, 9.8 million residents. They are the biggest county in California. Alpine County, to the north of us, their annual budget's about $50 million. They have 117 employees, and they only have 1,695 residents in the whole county. So we're not the biggest, we're not the smallest. We consider ourselves a rural county. But it's interesting, there's 58 counties in California, 38 of them identify as rural, but Sonoma County identifies as a rural county, and they have 5 times the people. Placer County actually identifies as a rural county, and parts of Placer County are very rural, but their population is over 400,000 people now. So the way that the county is structured, there's 5 elected members of the Board of Supervisors by district, and then there's 6 people who are elected in the community county-wide: sheriff, district attorney, auditor, controller, tax collector, elections, and the assessor. So You pay your taxes, you pay your property taxes to the tax department that was assessed by the county assessor. Your records are handled by the elections and the clerk recorder's office. So every function, and those are also all county, they're state mandated offices that you have to have. Some counties do not have those positions elected, they are appointed. And big counties like San Francisco, they divide up the elections, and the recorders are two separate positions. The only way you can change your model from being elected to appointed is you have to get approval through the state legislature. I personally feel it's important for all of those positions to be elected, because those people answer to you. They don't work for us. They don't work for the county CEO. They work for the people. The only thing we do is we control their budget. So they do have to be nice to us sometimes. There's 3 appointed department heads at the county. So we have a CEO, a CFO, and an assistant CEO. So those are the 3 main administrative positions. And then we have a director of community development, we have an internal government services director, and we have a director of health and human services. So 4 departments. All the different things that you see, they fall underneath those. So for example, community development oversees environmental health, building, planning, economic development, parks and recreation, anything having to do with land use. Health and human services, child protective services, adult protective services, the district or the public defender's office, probation, just anything having to do with social services. And then those are what we consider the 21 appointed officials. And everybody at the county, so there's 2 people at the county who work for the Board of Supervisors. Actually, there's 3. The CEO, who some of you probably know, Allison Lehman. She's been here for a long time. She's fantastic. And the county council, we have a 7-attorney department for legal issues, and then the clerk of the board. Everybody else in the county, except for the elected officials, works for the CEO. We don't hire or fire people except for those 3 positions. And there's a lot of people think that everybody at the county works for us. And if you ever hear an elected official make the comment, "Oh, he works for me," they are wrong, because our management style here is the only like at the city council, the only person who works for them is the city manager. Everybody else works for the city manager. So that's kind of the structure of the county. It's a big organization. I've always worked in, was self-employed, never had more than 10 employees, never really worked in the corporate environment, never had to deal with a lot of bureaucracy. There is a lot of bureaucracy at the county. If any of you have had to deal with any county departments, you realize that. I look at my role as a supervisor. I am here to help people. That is 100% of what my job is. It's not to force my personal opinions on anybody. It's not to, tell people what to do. It's to, you have a problem, you call me and I will try and help you. And that's all the way from people having, barking dogs in their neighborhood and, getting animal control out there. One of the things that I do, because my district's fairly small, when someone calls me, if they're willing to give me their address, I always do a drive-by, or I go to their home to see what the actual issues are. I'm helping somebody right now who's being terrorized by her neighbor who wants to build a fence. And there's even bureaucracy sometimes in building a fence. So we're trying to work that out. What are some of the other things? Occasionally, a lot of times people will call us on land use issues because they're really concerned about development happening in their area. And it's my role not to tell them, they're right or wrong, but to make sure they have all the facts and they know what's going into the development. So one of the other, actually, I think I have that in my, we're currently working on our budget. And there's my slide. So our biggest source of revenue at the county is property taxes. Just so you know where your property taxes go, though, 55% of your property tax goes to the schools. We collect that money, then it goes to the state, then it comes back to the school districts. 20% goes to special districts. There's 50 special districts in Nevada County. All your fire departments, except for the municipalities, are special districts. Nevada Irrigation District is a special district. The Cemetery District. The fire districts there's 9 of them. That's the biggest, and there's 21 school districts. But so the Resource Conservation District is a special district, and then there's the park districts, Western Gateway Park, the Bear River, and then the North San Juan. Those are all special districts. So all of those agencies get a percentage of the property tax. 20% goes to them. The county gets 14%. So if you're paying $3,000 a year in property tax, we're only getting a very small amount of that, less than $500 to provide all the other services for you. And then the cities, the Grass Valley, Nevada City, and the town of Truckee, they get 11%. And they use that money to fund their fire and police departments, and it goes into their general fund. So one of the things that happens for us at the county, if the name of your organization has Nevada County in it, they think that we run it. We do not run the Nevada County Fair. We do not run the Nevada County Irrigation District. We do not run Nevada County Consolidated Fire District. Those are all, well, the state fair, the fair is actually a state facility, but everything else they're special districts. And when I say that, because people will call us saying, the fire people couldn't come, and they all have their own budgets and their own boards of directors that are also elected. So they get county money through property tax, but we have zero say in what they do. We recently worked with those 2 districts to consolidate because the Rough and Ready Fire Station just was not taking in enough through property tax and special assessments to be able to afford it. So the 2 of them are consolidating into one. I believe that consolidation is complete. But the county did help. We did bridge some money for them because while fire is not our financial obligation, I believe as an elected, we have a moral responsibility in Nevada County to make sure that people are protected. So we've been working very closely with them. They have to report to us how they spend the money. It's not, it's not just free money. Here, we're going to give you this and you can do whatever you want with it. There's a very strict program for it. But we're hopeful that within the 3 to 5 year period that we're going to be helping them, they will be able to figure out, that they'll be able to financially sustain themselves through their assessments that they have. It takes, once they go on the property rolls, when you vote for a bond measure or you vote for a special tax, it takes a year before you get to start collecting it. So that is an area where, again, same thing with parks and recreation. The county does not have a parks department. We do have a recreation person who's been doing a lot of work, but the county doesn't do active recreation like softball and soccer. We do passive recreation, which is all the trail systems. And we work very closely with the Bear Yuba Land Trust, who has I'm going to give a pitch. They have a fantastic project that's coming forward over on the old Hell's Half Acre Kinney Ranch site. It's called Wildflower Ridge. They bought 128 acres there. Originally, that property had been slated to build 330 houses and like a 30-acre commercial development. This is better. 128 acres preserved, and they're building an actual nature preserve there with the building. It's going to be an educational. They're going to move their offices over there, so they're all under one roof. I did a little neighborhood meeting with them a couple of weeks ago, and it's a really fantastic project. If you get an opportunity to go out there, it's a beautiful piece of property. That's kind of the furthest area. Where Twin Cities Church, that's kind of the furthest area that my district goes before it goes into District 4.
Let's give her a great applause for coming and talking to us and sharing the wealth of information that she shared.
Thank you.